Alright guys, let's see what trouble we can get into today. Uh-oh. Something is missing. Well, as you can see, I neither have my hot side, my O2 housing, or my manifold. And that is because I took these all off because I thought I fixed this problem earlier in a previous video, but I was still having that exhaust leak where that manifold to turbo gasket was getting warped and leaking pretty bad. So I changed the gasket thinking it was just that, and the bolts, because the bolts were backing out and, you know, creating an exhaust leak. But I think what happened is that when those bolts were loose, I drove 12 hours with those bolts loose, and we were pretty much smashing on the way down from North Cal to SoCal with my bolts like that, and I warped both surfaces of the turbo hot side and the manifold. So when I put in that new gasket thinking it would fix that exhaust leak, all I did was fix it like for about maybe 50 miles, and then that gasket warped and started leaking. So I decided, you know, it's better to take everything off and get the surfaces resurfaced and make sure they're nice and flat so I can have a good exhaust seal between all the mating surfaces. The more important ones are the head to manifold and manifold to turbo, because those are all pre-turbo surfaces, and if you have a leak there, that is considered a boost leak, because, you know, all that gas flow is what making the turbo spool. And if you have an exhaust leak, you're losing gases, and thus, you know, making a lag of your turbo when it, you know, when it shouldn't be. I'm not really too worried about the O2 housing to downpipe and turbo hot side to O2 housing, because those are after turbo. So the post turbo, all those are going to do is create an exhaust leak of like fumes, not really a boost leak. It's just an exhaust leak. But I got those surfaces resurfaced as well. So let's show you what we got here. And I got something extra in store. So first things first, we are replacing my manifold with an FP turbo manifold. My old manifold is right here, actually. As you can see, this is where the exhaust leak was at, and it was leaking on both sides. So this surface is pretty muffed up. It looks straight, but when you put it on another flat surface, you can tell how pretty warped it is. So we're replacing this. Kind of sad. This is freaking ported and polished beautifully, but you know, gotta change with the times, because it's also cracking, which is very common. These things just always crack, but hadn't made its way to the surface yet, so I might just get this this surface reflattened as well and keep it as a spare, you know, for later times if ever need it. But since my friend was offering a really good deal on this like almost brand new manifold, I decided, you know, let's get this and try this out. So here is the replacement manifold, nice and flat surfaces. One thing I don't like about these is that they create a lot of heat. I would say, I don't know, a lot of people have overheating issues with this because they don't make heat shields for this. However, if you can see here, that problem is finally solved. Extreme PSI makes a heat shield for the FP manifold now, so I bought that as well. So that will be going on with this. And as here you can see, we got all my surfaces milled and sanded down to make sure they're nice and flat. So enough talking, let's go ahead and bolt up all these hot parts and see how it looks. Alrighty, so we got the hot side back on, and we also got the O2 housing bolted back on. All we need to do is put the gasket on the turbo to manifold, and then the gasket from O2 housing to downpipe, which is right there, and the manifold to head, which is right here. So that was fairly easy. Make sure you use anti-seize paste on everything, so when you go take this off, it won't be difficult. And while I was also here, I replaced my water pipe with a very good mint condition one. This was my old one. And the reason I replaced it is because this was leaking at the lip from the water pipe to the thermostat housing, T-stat housing, yeah. So as you can see, that O-ring that goes here, it was sealing, but it was a slow and annoying leak. So I figured now that everything's out, it would be a good time to replace it. So this is trash, and as you can see, the exhaust leak was doing its work to this reflector tape. And this is the water line that would run to the oil cooler when you are water cooled. However, I am air cooled. As you can see there, the oil cooler in there. So this was always being capped off. And as you can see, this new water pipe, we actually cut and welded the fitting. So we have no more fitting there. Makes it nice and clean. And no chance of that leaking like that would. But new water pipe's in. Hot sides are in. Let's go ahead and get the manifold on and continue going. Alright, manifold is mocked up. I got everything in place now. Gasket's there. We need hardware. Funny thing is that a lot of people buy these manifolds and they try to install it thinking their stock hardware works. Well, it does and it doesn't. You can use two of the same old OEM bolts, which are these long ones, but you can only use two of these. And then you're gonna need, some people put a stud kit here. I prefer to use a bolt, and what you're gonna need is O2 housing bolts, the same ones as these. So here we have them with anti-seize, two long manifold bolts, two short O2 housing bolts, and then that's all we need to install this for that part. And then I'm also putting new hardware for the head because I do not like reusing that kind of hardware. And what I actually did this time is I went with let's see if I can get one out right now. I went with Evo 8 hardware. Some people go with ARP. If my manifold ever comes off again, I will go with ARP, but this time I'm going with Evo 8 hardware. So this is actually a nut, and it's got like little teeth that bites into the washer so they don't back out from like vibrations. So it's better than the actual, like, I don't have it anymore, but the 1G and 2G hardware is crap compared to the Evo. So if you're changing that, go Evo 8. So let's bolt everything on and see what we got left. Alrighty, everything is finally bolted up. So what we got going on here, all brand new hardware, Evo 8, and then two manifold bolts, two OT housing bolts, new gasket, yada yada. And then so you have to put this on, so don't remember, if you're gonna use the same heat shield I'm using, before you bolt on these bolts, you need to put on the bracket first. So the bracket goes behind the bolts, and then you also got to do the same thing for this bolt on the turbo. So heat shield slides onto these and then bolts up to this. So I'll show you right here. There's the bolt hole. Here comes the supply bolt. It goes in there and then holds it in place. So that's pretty much it for this. Let's go ahead and install the heat shield and see how it looks. And voila! What FP manifold? That's stock, bro. There it is, boys. Got all my upgrades done, and happy how this turned out. So let's see how it does on future dyno day. Alright guys, have a good one and keep boosting.